Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying with Jim Misiura. Today I'm going to tie a dragonfly. And you can see I got two vices here. I have a tube fly vise and my regular vise. But if you don't have a tube fly vise, what you can do is put a regular sewing needle in your regular vise. And that is going to be to make the body of this dragonfly. Move that out of the way there. Now I have my needle in there. The other materials that we're going to need, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take, I have the Deer Creek 100% beeswax. I'm just going to put some beeswax on my needle here. Tighten that up a little bit more. There we go. Just so it makes it a little easier to slide the body off when we're done. We're also going to need a lighter, and that's kind of optional. We're going to use monofilament sewing thread to tie the body with. And the body is going to consist of Peacock Herl. And I have about 30 or 40 strands of Peacock Herl. It's good to get those small ones out of there to use them. We want to make this body maybe 2.5 inches long. And we're also going to put some, this is black Krystal flash. I cut off about maybe 5 or 6 of them, and I cut them in half, and then I put half on top of the pile and half underneath the pile. Then for the wing, we're going to use, it's called unique hair. You can see this is the really wiry hair, and what we're going to use with that, I'm going to use that to help hold the other material up for the wing. And the other material that I'm going to use is, I'm going to use Hemingway streamer fibers. And this is basically, it's kind of like polyarn actually. So polyarn will work for your wing. To start off, I'm going to take my mono thread. I'm going to get a base of thread on the needle. This needle is kind of long, so it's a little awkward. Just want to get some thread on there to, secure it. Now I'm going to take my pile of combination Peacock Herl and Krystal flash. And now, one Peacock Herl alone is very brittle. You can see this one here that's bent. See how easily it just broke right off. But when you have a bunch of them together, you can't break them. So I'm going to just tie them in close to the butts down here. And I'm dropping some of it. Some of that Krystal flash. Didn't quite have it in there. So we're just going to tie this in. And then I'm going to palmer wrap this forward. I'm going to palmer wrap this up. And you can make some small palmers. It is mono thread, and you'll be able to, you won't see the thread. And I'm going to go a little bit more. And then I'm going to tie this off here. So we got about 2.5 inches there. 2 to 2.5 inches there. Then I'm going to have to use my fingers for the whip finish. That is way too big for the whip finisher. I give it about 3. I'm going to put a little bit of head cement on the end of it when I'm done. So we'll go and tighten that up. It's actually, I broke it off. No big deal. It's secured. Now I can take the body out, and I can put this vise on the side. Now, because we put the beeswax on there, this will come off easily. I'm going to grab the whole thing at once. Just kind of put it in my hand there. And here we have our body made. Now, there's no way you're going to break that. We have our body made. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim it. And I'm going to leave a little bit of the end there. Just that little bit there. And this side, I'm going to leave all of that. But I'm going to take a little bit of my head cement now, and I'm going to put some head cement on my knot. You could put a little bit of super glue on there if you want, which I think I may just do. Just go ahead and get a little bit of that super glue on there. And that's going to hold that together. Bring our vise back in. Now the hook that I'm going to use this drop shot hook because it's big. I think it's about a size 2. But it's also very strong because we're going to be targeting bass with this very strong hook. We're going to take black thread, and we're going to get a base of thread down. We're going to bring that base of thread just back to the end of the flat there. Now I'm going to take my body, and I'm going to tie this in. And you can tie that knot in a little bit, and that'll help secure the end. And then just take several wraps up. I'm going to trim this now. Come on, I pushed it out of the way. There we go. And we'll go ahead and secure that the rest of the way there. Now, because this was such a large fly, I have a piece of foam. This is the Evosote foam. You can see it's thicker than the peel and stick craft store foam. If you use foam, you're making gurglers or that, it is a good idea to buy this stuff. That is the Evosote. But I have a piece about 3/4 of an inch long. I'm just going to cut. I'm going to go ahead and cut a couple angles on there. Just to kind of not take up so much space on the hook. Actually, these little parts you could put on the side, you could use them for different things. But we're going to go ahead and tie this in. I'll bring it right to the eye, or just about. Then we can go ahead and secure this in there. There we go. Now I'm going to take a black Hackle. Okay, I gave it the crew cut. And this Hackle is not going to, it's just going to represent the legs. It's not going to do anything to help float it. This is just going to make the legs. Now I'm going to take a bit of the unique hair, and you can see this is very wiry. It's not going to just flop over. You can actually use, if you have unique hair, you could use that alone for a wing. But I'm going to add the other material on with it because it'll be more visible. So I'm just going to take a good clump of this. And it doesn't really matter how long it is at this point. I'm going to tie that in. And you want to tie it in right at the back of the, right next to the foam. You could go ahead and kind of give it the figure 8 there. Then you want to kind of separate them a little bit. It's going to hold up the wing. Like I said, you could probably use that for the wing itself if you wanted. Now I'm going to take some of that streamer fiber, and it's not white. You could use regular white if you want, but I'm just going to take some of this, just make sure I get some long strands. And this is going to help with the visibility of the fly. And this material here is also good for parachute posts. Although they do sell parapost, and it's a little bit stiffer than this. So now I'm going to take my material, and I didn't cut it quite long enough, so I'm just going to kind of separate that a little bit, or stretch it a little bit. And we're going to go ahead and tie that in right in the middle. The same fashion, just make that figure 8 on there. And here's what we're looking at so far. We got the stiffer fibers underneath. Now I'm going to put a little bit of something just to get that material or that hidden. We could use just something as simple as some black dubbing. I actually have some SLF here. Black SLF. It has some blue sparkles in it. Remember, the bottom is what what the fish is going to see. So that's the more important part. Just kind of give it a figure 8 there. And I have to add a little bit more. Just bring all of that back. There we go. Now I'm going to take my Hackle and I'm going to wrap that as long as I get a couple of wraps on here, 2 or 3 wraps on here, it's going to be good. One, I'm going to move it to the front. Just palmer that hackle up there. Oop, and it slipped off. Good thing it's sticking. And we're going to tie that off. And I broke off that hackle. And we're going to bring this back just a bit from the eye, maybe 1 eye length from the eye. We're going to take that foam, we're going to fold that foam over just like you would with a gurgle bug. And we're going to tie that in. There we go. I'm going to trim that off. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a plow on there so you could kind of almost pop it. See, we got sharp edges on there though, so we'll just knock them off. There we go. Just moving this out of my way. Take my whip finish. And secure that. Got a couple pieces of wing in there, not a big deal. Go ahead and trim that off. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to put some head cement on there. Now we can take our wing and straighten that out. Take our wing, we can measure, make that wing about the length of the body. And we can bring that up, bring up the both sides and trim it all at the same time here. Now you could go ahead and fan it out. And you can take a marker, take a black marker, and put some marks on there. Gotta get that underwing fanned out also. Now to make sure that that kind of stays together, we're going to take our lighter and we're just going to singe the end of it. You can put your finger on there and your thumb could be a kind of like a template for the wing shape. And that's going to hold that wing shape better. And here we have a bass-sized dragonfly. Hope that you learned something from this video. Hope that you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends. Please visit my sponsors. Let them know that I sent you. Leave comments, questions, suggestions. If you'd like to purchase this or any flies that I make, go to etsy.com/shop/theflymanjim. And if you don't see it there, just send me a message and we'll figure things out. And most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.